The 11th murder of 19-year-old Mary Sullivan was so gruesome and taunting, it shocked the state of Massachusetts into a sense of urgency, so much so that something unprecedented needed to be done.
The task force was formed shortly after the last murder in January of 1964 and was made up of state police detectives, Boston police detectives, and MDC detectives.
Well, when the Strangler Bureau was formed back in shortly after Mary Sullivan's murder, which was January 4th, 1964.
As a result, the best 4 detectives around would work full-time on the case out of the Attorney General's office, which was in the State House under Edward Brooke. Despite the fact the Strangler Task Force was assembled, this is the point at which politics began to take over.
Edward Brooke, who was the Attorney General of Massachusetts at the time, who took the unprecedented step of forming the task force. He then put John Bottomley in charge, and he was not a good choice to head up the Strangler Task Force. He was a lawyer who was in charge of the eminent domain division of the Attorney General's office. As my dad used to say, John Bottomley wouldn't know a murder investigation if it came up and bit him in the face.
The reason Brooke hired Bottomley is due to his extreme organizational skills. Brooke and Bottomley went way back, but the point of the task force was to centralize the investigation so departments couldn't keep working against each other. The problem was, Brooke put Bottomley in charge of a murder investigation and manhunt, and not just organizing the detectives' work. But even with the dark shadow of this political turn, the investigators still did their job to the best of their ability.
The Strangler Bureau detectives and investigators started to recheck all the cases and try to get further information and reevaluate the information and evidence that we got. But as I say, we were desperate for clues, and we listened. I'll listen to the garbage man if he has something to tell me, and I'll even be nice to the devil if he can give me the information that I'm looking for, or some kind of little evidence that could be helpful in bringing about the solution of the stranglings. Everybody was willing, and everybody donated many, many, many precious hours of their own time to work on this case. It was a manhunt of the century throughout this country. And believe me, you've never seen so much work being done by the Boston's finest detectives. And they did a thorough job. It was just unbelievable where we couldn't come up with any kind of a clue. It's just like the man would be the shadow.
Just as all things that fall under the Strangler saga, the task force was a complicated animal. It was in the best interest of the public, despite the politics involved. And ultimately, although it took a year of investigating, the detectives that worked full-time on this came through. And after the tip on DeSalvo, the politicians stepped back in with lawyers and the like, and the Strangler investigation became the Strangler media circus.